I think that in today's world, excuse me, in today's world, I think that, or I believe that distilled water is the most, essentially what I'm getting at is I believe that distilled water is the healthiest, cleanest, safest water to drink in today's world, in today's age, with all the pollution, etc. Um, get a few books on the dangers of tap water and non-filtered water, and you'll know what I'm talking about. There are so many particulates and different constituents in non-filtered, non-treated, non-distilled water that, you know, it's my personal opinion and predicated upon my research. I believe that large, that many of the diseases in today's world come directly from drinking dirty water. Directly from drinking dirty water. I mean, there's that famous analogy in, of your body is like your vehicle. You only want to put the cleanest, purest elements in it. Just like you in your vehicle, you'd only want to put clean fuel in your vehicle. It's that simple. The same goes with the body. When you burden your eliminative channels and your internal filters and your liver, etc., with dirty tap water filled with heavy metals, particulates, chloramines, etc., all that means is that your body now has to break down all these elements and work in overtime to neutralize the different toxicities that you're accumulating when you drink tap water. And even in today's world, I've even read books about how dirty the streams have become. Excuse me, the springs. I mean, the thing about the realm of water, in filtered water, distilled water, in the community of people who discuss and study the realm of water and which is the safest water to drink, etc. I mean, there's so many different mixed opinions. It's such an ocean of chaos. Um, because in today's realm, I mean, but the way things are, man, I mean, everyone has a different opinion. Oh, tap water's good, man. It's got all the minerals in it. It's got the fluoride in it. It's got the chlorine. It's got all the stuff the body needs. Oh, and then the guy, the next guy says that tap water's the worst thing for you to drink. Then there's the people that say that reverse osmosis is the only safe water to drink. And then there's the people that say that distilled is the only safe water to drink. And then there's people that say that only ionized, alkalized water is the safest water to drink. It's just, what it comes down to, man, is there's just so many opinions out there. The average person, when approaching the realm of clean water, when a new person who wants to start filtering their water um, comes into contact with all these various opinions about which is the safest water to drink, it can be a daunting task just to figure out which type of water you want to start using. I mean, do you want to start drinking distilled water, reverse osmosis water, UV sterilized water, uh, you know, alkalized water, magnetized water? There's so many different things for you to pick from. It took me a while to figure out which type I would like to begin to experiment with. And I chose distilled water. And I chose distilled water, and I bought a distiller for some pretty sound fucking reasons. Number one, the process of distillation removes all the junk, the typical junk found in the tap. We're talking about the calcium, the lime deposits, the chlorine, the fluoride, etc. Many reverse osmosis units cannot do that because many of these constituents, these elements that we want to filter out of the water, are so small that they pass right through the filter membrane. So yes, your reverse osmosis unit may be pulling out a lot of the junk, and that's much better to drink reverse osmosis water than just plain tap water because it does pull some of the stuff out, these baneful constituents. But it's not usually getting the water, the finished product after you're done filtering your water. It's usually not completely clean. And some simple tests with a parts per million count, a total dissolved solids, a TDS count meter. All you have to do is do some experimenting, and you'll find that reverse osmosis water is not the cleanest water. Now, many people say that distilled water isn't safe because apparently, predicated upon the fact that some doctors said that it pulls minerals out of your body. I mean, many people won't even touch distilled water yet. No, excuse me. Predicated upon what they read on the internet or what they were told by someone else. Many people are they're so, not weak, but they're so, how would I say this? Many people are just afraid in general. And to the point where if they stumble across an article on the internet that says that distilled water pulls minerals out of your bones, many people out there, they start to fret, they panic, and they stop distilling their water. That's not good enough in today's world to just constantly be bouncing around various forms of water filtration because you're afraid that, excuse me. What I'm getting at here is that distilled water is not going to kill you. It's safe. It's clean. You find distilled water in nature. It's natural. You don't find reverse osmosis water in nature. No, you don't. Distilled water is clean, pure water. It's the best. And many people say, but there's no minerals in it, man. But dude, distilled water is just plain clean water. I don't drink just plain clean water. I always remineralize it. Always. Always. So, I can understand why some people may think that distilled water may be dangerous, that it pulls minerals out of your body, etc. Because they were most likely talking about distilled water that hasn't been remineralized. Once you finish distilling your water, you remineralize it. And you remineralize it with minerals that are 10,000-fold more superior than the tap water minerals, etc. So yeah, distilled water, I mean, if you're drinking nothing but distilled water that hasn't been remineralized, you're drinking water that is just empty. It has no minerals. But you can mineralize it very simply, and I will get into that in further videos extensively because there's many ways to go about remineralizing your water. I mean, there's the pink salt, there's the active ionic you can use, there's the fulvic minerals, there's a whole realm, man. Excuse me while I read this message. Excuse me for a moment. Excuse me. One second. Again, many people are saying that they drink distilled water, and that's great, But a lot of people are saying that they're drinking just plain distilled water, but they've remineralized it. And if you were to remineralize distilled water, is nothing like distilled water that has just been distilled and has been depleted of all its minerals, etc. Now, the neat thing about distilled water, and what I find so intriguing about distilled water, is the alchemical attributes it has. And I'll get into that in just a moment. I'm trying to send some messages to somebody, and it's hard for me to type and talk at the same time. Okay, one moment. One second. Sorry about this, you guys. Okay, the alchemical attributes that um, distilled water harbors. Distilled water is very neat because it represents the alchemical process of exaltation. Uh, Distilling water is it's very similar to distilling your spirit, distilling your body, cleansing your body. When you distill a gallon of water or whatever volume of water you're distilling, you're pulling all of the crude matter out of it. You're taking it from one dense state and distilling all the densities out of it and exalting it into a state of liquid that is not burdened and filled with all the heavy um, constituents. You're exalting it. You're taking it from one state to another. You're taking it from, level 1 to level 2 and etc. You're evolving the water. And the process of distillation is very, um, one second. Um, the process of distillation, again, is very similar to the process of cleansing, if cleansing is done properly. Because when you're cleansing your body with the proper elements, juice fasting, etc., you're literally freeing up the accumulations and the blockages in the physical body and kicking them out of your system. I'm talking about all the mucus, the mucoidal plaque, the decayed feces, the impacted feces, etc. When you cleanse your body, you essentially are in a way distilling your body. You're distilling the junk out of you. And yes, your body's not a water distiller, of course. It's just a simple, fun analogy to play around with. Um, just like you're removing impurities out of water with distillation, you are also metaphorically distilling junk out of you when you cleanse your body. Again, you're removing the crude matter. You're exalting the body. You're removing the blockages, the decayed matter, the fecal matter that's been in you from. I'll get into that in a different subject, but there is so much waste, parasites, etc. in the body. And when you begin to cleanse them out of you, you are essentially distilling yourself. You are raising your vibration. You are exalting your physical body. And through that, the spirit gets exalted as well. This is just basic alchemy. Um, um, again, distilled water is awesome. It's a hobby of mine. I enjoy it. It's fascinating to see what you pull out of the water. And it's always varying. One day I'll distill a gallon of tap water right out of the tap that hasn't been filtered or anything, and there will be brown gunk, green gunk, black gunk, brown junk, yellow junk, shards of what just foul-smelling particulates left over in the boil chamber, etc. It's amazing to see that how much junk you'll literally pull out of 1 gallon of water that you distill. And to think that your internal organs and your internal filtration systems and your eliminative channels, etc., have to filter out all of that heavy junk because it's not meant for your body. You can now begin to, predicated upon that little dose of knowledge, begin to see that you, why there's so many sicknesses prevalent. You're overburdening and you're taxing your immune system, your body, your entire filtration system by consuming untreated water. In the method of lightening the burden of your internal organs and your chakratic system, etc., etc., the way to lessen that burden and to begin the healing process is to first find a good water to drink. Stop drinking tap water. Stop being a water whore and stop drinking water out of, again, I've said this before, but drinking water out of the tap is like drinking water out of an asshole. It's filled with shit. Not literal shit, but alchemical shit that needs to be distilled out through the process of alchemy, such as distillation, exaltation of water from one state of crude matter to a exalted state of spiritual matter. I will get in on how to structure water in future videos, but I mean, Jesus Christ, man, it's just insane to see how many people engage in drinking shit tap water, and then later down the road they just get sick. Very sick often. I'm talking cancers, tumors, prostate problems, mental problems, Alzheimer's, etc. These are all linked. All of these pathologies, these ailments, etc., can be linked back to particulates and constituents found in tap water. In fact, if you look up and research many of the constituents that you'll find in tap water that hasn't been distilled or filtered, you can look up particular, you can look up the constituents, these elements found in the water, and you can look up how they affect the system when they're consumed in large amounts. And aluminum, calcium, stuttering. Many of these, again, I'm gonna make like a 2 or 3 hour video just breaking down many of the elements found in tap water. But again, research some of these. If you drink tap water, research some of the things that you're drinking, and then research what they do over time to the system, the internal system. Look at what they do to your mind. Remember what fluoride was used by the Nazis to keep concentration camp victims docile and easily manageable. That is not something that you want in your system. Unless you're down with just being a waste bin, a walking human waste bin, and then go for it. And that's all good if that's your thing. I respect free will. It just sucks, though, to see many people getting sick and dying and etc. for things that they really essentially wouldn't have had to die from if they would have taken care of their system. I mean, all diseases can be linked to blockages in the body, in the energy system of the body, in the eliminative channels. We're talking about polluted bile ducts, polluted lymphatic fluids, etc. It can all be linked to having too much junk in your system, and distilled water will help you get that out of you. But you know, distillation is my favorite method of. You can't even really consider it filtration because you're not filtering it through a filter membrane. Distillation works by you have a distiller with a boil chamber in it, and you put your water in it, and you boil the water, and the water vapor, the steam rises and condenses into a liquid, and then travels up a coil, down the coil, and into a um, receptacle that you're um, um, collecting your water, your clean water. If you excuse me one moment, I have a good picture to show this. So here's your distiller, this unit. You have water that you boil here. The steam rises, collects, condenses, falls down this channel, and you have your clean water over here. The way distillation works is that the additives, the constituents, and the elements that you don't want to drink, such as the calcium, the fluoride, the lime, etc., they're too heavy to rise with the rising steam, so they stay at the bottom of the boil chamber. That's why after you distill a gallon of tap water, you can see all the disgusting shit at the bottom of the boil chamber. So, you know, to see what is distilled out of 1 gallon of water. I mean, just if you could smell it and see it, you're not going to want to drink that shit. I recommend getting a distiller, your own distiller, or start, you know, you can buy distilled water. Most distilled water comes in plastic gallon jugs, though. I'm not a big fan of that. You're going to save a lot of money if you just buy a distiller. It's better for the environment as well. But, you know, this is just a short little snippet regarding distilled water. Again, man, distillation it has many alchemical attributes. The process of distillation can be macroimposed. Excuse me a moment. It can be macroimposed one moment. Excuse me, that was not the correct word I'm looking for. I had a little brain fart there. What I'm getting at is that distilled water has many alchemical attributes. It's very similar to the cleansing process, especially of that of spirit and of matter, where you take one state of something and you filter the junk out, you distill the junk out, and you're left with something more pure. It's the process of cleansing. It's very similar. Because in cleansing, again, I've said this, I'm going to repeat myself, because repetition of a message constitutes mental programming. I'm not trying to program people, but repeating these things, it can help solidify these principles in people's minds, and they can begin to ponder them. And what I'm saying is that I'm throwing seeds out, and I hope that people will nourish those seeds and water them. I'm throwing seeds out for people, throwing information out, and I hope people can retrieve it and see the importance of these principles that I'm discussing, because, well, clean water is step 1. It's step 1 towards beginning a healthy fucking lifestyle. What good is all this health food and all this other shit if you're drinking water that is just counteracting all the positive effects of the health food that you're putting in your organism? Again, if you're new to the health realm, the first thing, in my opinion, that you should be doing is finding a fucking method of filtration which you favor. And I'm not saying that reverse osmosis is bad or any other type of filtration is bad. I just prefer, I personally prefer distilled water, because I've done the experiments, I've done the research, and I've read the books. And I like what I see with distilled water. Another thing about reverse osmosis is that the filters, they sit under the sink, and the membranes, they're all wet, and it's just a breeding ground for mold, bacteria, and things of that nature, in my opinion. So, you know, I encourage people to personally try other methods of filtration as well. If your spirit is telling you not to try something else, then do that. Try fucking an alkalizer, um, etc. There's a multitude of really cool fucking tools out there that you can begin using to start cleansing your body. There's a lot of tools out there that you can use, such as juicers or filters, that you can begin to extract. Excuse me. You can begin. I'm just ranting here. What I'm getting at is that there's so many tools, man, to make your life better. Start fucking engaging and using them. Don't wait until you're fucking 40, 50, or 60 when you start coming down with ailments, etc. Don't wait until then to start adopting and beginning to live a healthy lifestyle. That's such a standard thing in the average American household here in the United States of the Matrix, to just wait until you have symptoms of a disease or an ailment or a pathology. Wait until then, and then start treating it. Start treating your pathology once it's too late. That is such a common fucking thing in the United States of the Matrix. People are always waiting till the last minute to begin doing what they should have done since day fucking one. Man, I'm sick now. I don't know. I don't know what to do, man. I gotta start treat. I gotta go to the doctor, man. I gotta do this. I gotta do that. All these things should have been done in the past. Remember, the best prevention is taking action now. Not waiting until tomorrow to juice a bag of apples. Not waiting until next week to find a filter. You do it now, man. And if you don't have the money to do it, ask the universe to help you out. Simply sit in a quiet space. Focus on your heart center, in your forehead, in your brain. Focus on those centers, those chakratic centers. Open yourself up and ask for help. If you don't have the funds to fund your yourself getting healthy, ask, and you shall receive. The one thing that I've noticed over these last 7 years of studying health and spirituality and evolution, etc., is that everything that I've always needed to actually cleanse myself, to begin healing myself, to begin cleansing the colon, etc., it's always been in massive abundance around me. Always. But the ego is always constantly striving to blind you from that. The ego always wants you to reach for the pizza, or you know, you know. My ego all the time. I would have apples on the apple tree out back, beautiful organic apples growing, and for many seasons I just wouldn't even touch them. I wouldn't even juice them. I wouldn't even stew them, etc. My ego was always, oh, I need this. I need blue green algae, or I need this expensive superfood from halfway across the world, because it's just like, it's funny because I was always ignoring the things that would work, such as the you know the ego always wants something extravagant, man. It always wants something else. It always wants to acquire more things instead of just sitting in the stillness and using the tools that are right in front of your fucking eyes. I mean, goddamn, fruit grows on trees all around the Matrix. If you don't have the funds to, to buy all this stuff, go knock on someone's door and ask if you can have some of their oranges or their apples or their lemons, etc., or offer them a small donation. Many of the people in the Matrix, they never even use the fruit off their trees. It sits there and it rots. So if you're complaining about organic prices, I mean, go. There's always a fucking route, is what I'm getting at. There's always a solution to heal your pollution. It just depends on opening up your eyes and your heart long enough to be able to see that. Man, this stuff's way too expensive, Brando. He wants us to buy 200, 300, $1,500 filters, etc. Man, I mean, this guy's just trying to push products. I don't push products for anyone. No companies, no establishments, etc. Motherfucker, you want to complain? Half the people that I know that complain about the price of health food, and I said this in previous videos, many of these people, they have no problem spending $400 on a fucking Xbox or $70 fucking dollars on a silly video game DVD-ROM. Many people in the Matrix, they never complain about the cost of stupid mundane shit. But when it comes to things that can actually make their lives better, such as juicers, organic food, fucking juicing, fasting, it's too expensive, man. It takes too much time, man. I mean, I don't want to give up eating, man. I gotta, how am I gonna afford my Sean John outfit, while I'm, buying all these juicers? Many people are helpless. Many people always want to go after the mundane rather than the spiritual. So, spend money on, $1,500 or spend $150 on a pair of shoes that were made in a slave labor camp. And, don't buy the juicer. Again, wait until it's too late to, and then once you get your pathology, then you can begin reversing the damage that you should have been reversing since day one. Excuse me, my computer's acting up. I don't know. Just ranting. What is wrong with my... There we go. Man, I bought the distiller, but I live with my parents and the distiller makes too much noise. So I had to stop using it. I just had to, because my parents didn't like the sound of the distiller. Wham, wham, wham. People always fucking just are so easy to give up. I'm not trying to be a dick, man, but over the years I've done some serious people watching, some serious people studying. I've studied people. I've studied algorithms, human algorithms, etc. People are so easy. They are so defeatable, self-defeatable. They allow themselves to be defeated by themselves. The juicer was too hard to clean, man. It took too much water. The distiller made too much noise. My parents didn't like, then put it in the backyard. Distill it in the backyard at night. Or distill it in your garage. There's always a route, man. Again, I'm not being angry. I'm just being a very real individual. I don't need to hear people on, I've made videos in the past. People, you curse too much, bro. You curse too much. You're too extreme. Well, fuck you for even saying that. Calling me extreme. Why? Because I'm giving you some free fucking information that can seriously help you out on your path, on your spiritual sojourn here in this dimension. You're going to call me extreme because I used the F word, because I said fuck. Chances are you probably curse yourself. And, you probably watch programs and go to see movies where they curse, and there's all sorts of scandalous activity. But, many people want to, always find a reason to bitch. So bitch about my cursing. I really don't care. I'm not here to use my little indoor voice and pasteurize all my what I'm gonna say, so that some weak people can absorb it and not be offended by it. If curse words offend you, then then holy shit. It's a word. They're words. If you look at what's going on in the world right now, and if you can look at the state of hell the world is currently going through, and you can still tell me that you're offended by some curse words, then you are a fucking baby. A royal, pampered baby. You're gonna complain about my cursing and my being extreme, but I don't see you complaining about all the shit going on in the world that is completely just fist fucking the planet, the environment, etc. But you found time to curse. I'm just ranting, going off on a tangent. I need to get better at that. But I mean, essentially, oh man, it's just distilled water, in my opinion, again, is the best form of water because it allows you to completely strip all the elements out of the water so that you can then remineralize it with quality minerals, minerals that you know where they came from, not just random minerals from the water supply place that you know nothing about. Not to mention all the different, the chlorine and the fluoride, the chloramines, etc. It's just insane. Many of you, if you're watching this, you may be saying, but those are good for us. And if you think that's true, it's most likely because you've never done any independent research outside of the mainstream um, research. If you could see what I distill out of 1 gallon of water, and then you can say that that's good for you to drink all that shit, you're crazy, in my opinion. Crazy. Crazy, crazy. And again, the one thing I recommend always for anyone who wants to begin living a healthier, happier, cleaner, more pristine life is to start drinking cleaner water. And if all you can afford is a simple filter, a charcoal filter that attaches to the head of your sink, then by golly, do it. Because even one of those little charcoal filters, one of those little sediment filters from all those various companies, you can find them at Costco, they still pull a large amount of junk out of your water. And if that's all you can afford, then, I mean, hell, get it. Get it, get it, get it. Go with your gut instinct. Go with your gut instinct. Don't always, I'm not trying to give advice out here, but it seems like many people are programmed from all the education, programming, etc., from kindergarten on up, to always seek advice from other people other than themselves and their higher self. Everybody's always got to ask other people questions. What's this? What should I do? What should I do? Use your brain. And I don't mean to be rude here, and I'm not trying to be rude, but I mean, listen to your spirit. Pick one and begin experimenting with it. If it doesn't work out with you, pick another one. You can learn a lot from experimenting. Experimentation. There's a very good book about distilled water if you want to check it out. It's called Norman Walker's book, Water Can Undermine Your Health. You can get that book for a penny on Amazon. A penny. $3.99 to ship, a penny to buy it. It's a $4 book. You can accumulate massive knowledge from using the Amazon storefront and all the cheap prices. It is a perfect budget platform for accumulating wisdom if you know the proper books to buy, because there's a lot of books out there that you read that are just giving out horrible advice, horrible information. But you know, that's a subject for a different rant. I'll make a video on how to remineralize excuse me, the tap water. I'll make in that video, I'll show you all the samples that I collect out of the water I distill. It's disgusting, all the shit that I pull out of that distiller. It's disgusting. And if you want a distiller, you're looking about $200 to get you started with a decent setup. And they go anywhere from that up to the 2000s and up. But you can check out the Mega Home Water Distiller. I mean, there's a multitude of different distillers. Go on Amazon and type in water distiller. My snake is totally checking me out right now. But this is probably going to be part one of a this will indefinitely be part one of a multiple series on water, tap water, how to re-energize your water, how to use crystal frequencies to raise its vibration, how to use minerals to begin cleaning your tap or your distilled water or your filtered water, etc. But on that note, at 40 minutes, I am going to uh, say goodbye and peace be with you.